Chloe Jennings White spends her days confined to a wheelchair. It's tough to get around, and she struggles with living in a world that isn't built for the disabled. However, Chloe is actually able to walk perfectly, and chooses to live her life like a paraplegic due to a rare psychological disorder called BIID. Despite wishing she was paralysed, Chloe still takes part in extreme sports like skiing. BIID has led Chloe, a Cambridge University educated research scientist, to harm herself in a bid to become paraplegic for real.
That's it. Game over, people. I think we have actually reached the pinnacle of stupidity in this little trans game that we have all been forced to accept as 100% grade A science stuff. These people desperately need help, and most of them do crave attention. Transgendered, trans animal, and now transabled. It is a strange new world out there, but we can't stop. We won't stop. No. Sadly, we must bring you the other stories that are trending left this week. So we stay in Crazy Town, where yet another brick of nonsense is being laid by a woman who wants to identify as all the letters of the rainbow because it's basically the cool thing to do. Watch and tell me with a straight face, oh, how dare I say that, straight face, why anyone should take these people seriously.
I'm non-binary, gender fluid, right? And within that, technically, by the definition standards, I am trans, right? However, I'm not always like trans, you know, like I'm not always like I am trans, but sometimes I am like I am trans. And you know what I realized it is this? You know what I realized it is? Literally, it's that. Because that's part of my gender fluidity. And like realizing that, just like all the pieces clicked.
They all clicked. I don't think they have clicked. I think a lot of things up there are not clicking, and that's part of the issue that we have. You can't say that, well, I'm a non-binary this, and then I'm a gender this. Well, then technically by the definition, which we don't even know the definition of a woman, much less what a trans person believes any definition should be. So how can anyone understand what you should be if you can't even understand what you are? It's a lose-lose game. But moving on, because we have an example of a poor boy who has clearly received a massive dose of radical gender indoctrination from his bearded, tattooed, non-binary father. Just listen to how this boy is coached to respond to gender questions with every progressive Rainbow Mafia talking point under the sun.
Instead of saying he was born a girl,
I would say he was assigned female at birth.
And you were assigned male at birth, and you identify as?
Male.
And I was assigned male at birth, and I identify as?
Non-binary.
Instead of saying before he became a boy,
I would say before he transitioned.
Instead of saying when he was a girl,
I would say when he presented as a woman.
Instead of saying being trans means you're gay,
I would say gender identity and sexual orientation are not the same.
Also,
mind your own business.
The end really got you, didn't it? There, mind your own business. Because instead of that little boy maybe being out in the backyard playing catch with his old pops, he's having to read off of a paper and tell the world, the internet world, what a non-binary this, that, or otherwise person is. And if he doesn't have the answer right, then you know what? You mind your own business. That's what's happening. All right, well, it's getting a little too crazy in here, so I thought that we would end on a wild story that features a brave young man who stood up for his personal convictions after he was told to remove his t-shirt in school because it made some people feel unsafe. Listen to his testimony, and to the parents of this young man, I tip my metaphorical cap to you.
I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only 2 genders. Nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just a statement I believe to be a fact. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school. Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do.
We have a future scientist right there. That is to say, if science is still a thing when he is old enough to go out and decide if he wants to have a job, which so many people apparently these days just don't want to. But anyway, that young lad who isn't even tall enough to reach the microphone, they had to tip it down, was able to stand in front of a group of adults who probably would side with the other people who don't feel safe, because that young boy was just saying there are two genders, and that's offensive these days. But, well, that's going to wrap up this segment. Of course, you can be sure there will be plenty more craziness next week. Until then, stay sane, America.